For centuries, legends have spoken of a secret chamber hidden beneath Egypt's Great Sphinx, a place where a forgotten civilization kept their most precious knowledge safe from the sands of time. According to these legends, this advanced race predated even the pharaohs, having flourished more than 20,000 years before the construction of the pyramids. The entrance to this underground labyrinth is said to be concealed somewhere within the paws of the enigmatic statue, which has stared blankly into the horizon for millennia. But how could anyone hope to locate such a hidden entrance without knowing where to look? The answer came in 1998, when a small team of researchers working near the Giza Plateau discovered a strange sealed stone door about 15 meters beneath the Sphinx. It was perfectly rectangular and fitted into the rock, as though it were part of the natural structure. And what was written on the door suggested that this was indeed the legendary gateway to the lost chamber. For all these years, the exact location of the entrance had remained a secret until now. But how could they open the door without knowing what kind of mechanism it used? When no obvious handle or hinge was visible, they decided to try and push it open. But much to their surprise, the door didn't budge. No matter how hard they tried, it wouldn't move even a fraction of an inch. Yet there was a faint groove running along its center, suggesting that it did indeed open inwards. So they started chipping away at the stone around the groove, until they could wedge a crowbar between the door and the frame. Slowly but surely, the massive stone slab began to turn on its hinges, revealing a staircase leading down into darkness. They had finally found the entrance to the lost chamber. The air inside was stale and heavy with dust, and the only light came from the flickering flames of their torches. As they descended deeper and deeper into the earth, the temperature rose dramatically, causing beads of sweat to form on their brows. But their discomfort was soon forgotten when they reached the bottom of the stairs and emerged into a vast cavern filled with thousands of glowing scrolls. These ancient documents were unlike anything they had seen before, written in a language that seemed to shimmer and pulse with otherworldly energy. Each scroll was encased in a protective crystal tube that amplified its faint luminescence, giving the impression that the very essence of their contents was radiating outwards. The sight was both breathtaking and terrifying, like stumbling upon a secret that humanity wasn't meant to know. As they explored further, they realized that the walls themselves were covered in similar tubes, each containing a single hieroglyphic symbol that seemed to vibrate with power. The team carefully examined the scrolls, realizing they were maps charting the constellations and movements of celestial bodies. But these weren't mere astronomical charts. They contained knowledge that was far ahead of their time, detailing star systems and galaxies that hadn't even been discovered yet. The team also found other documents that told stories of a people who lived in harmony with the universe, harnessing its energies for their own enlightenment. These were not the writings of a civilization that had flourished 20,000 years ago. They were too advanced, too detailed, and they described things that were simply impossible according to our current understanding of history. And then there was one scroll that was different from the rest, almost as though it had been added relatively recently. Its edges were still wet, and the ink hadn't even dried. It spoke of a great awakening that was soon to occur, of how the earth would be transformed, and how humanity would reach a new level of consciousness. But who wrote this scroll, and why? Was it meant for them to find? The team carefully sealed the entrance behind them, determined to return and continue their investigation. But when they came back, the cave was empty. The scrolls were gone, and so was their leader. He had vanished without a trace, leaving behind only his unfinished work and a sense of foreboding that something had been awakened. Days turned into weeks, and still there was no sign of the missing archaeologist. Had he simply abandoned the project, or had something more sinister happened to him? The remaining members of the team were torn. Should they continue the investigation, or heed their missing colleague's apparent warning and stay away? Then one night, as the full moon hung heavy in the sky, they heard a scratching sound coming from under the Sphinx. It was a rhythmic tapping, as though someone or something was trying to get out. They dismissed it as just their imaginations playing tricks on them, the result of too many late nights and too much stress. But the scratching continued night after night, always at the same time, always in the same place. And then one night, they heard it again. The scratching, it was coming from inside the chamber. They rushed to the sealed doorway, their hearts pounding in their chests. What could be causing this strange noise? Had whatever had taken their leader come back for more? When they finally pried open the door, they gasped in astonishment. Inside the chamber, dozens of the crystal tubes containing the ancient scrolls were shattered, their once glowing contents spilled onto the floor. But that wasn't what had caught their attention. In the center of the room stood the missing archaeologist, his eyes wide with terror, pointing to the ceiling. And as they looked up, they saw it too, a massive gaping hole that had been torn in the rock above them. Something big was crawling through the opening, dragging itself closer and closer. It was a creature unlike anything they had ever seen before, a grotesque amalgamation of flesh and metal that seemed to defy the laws of nature. Its skin was a patchwork of human and animal hide, stitched together with surgical precision. Wires and cables snaked down its body, disappearing under its ragged clothes. A single unblinking eye stared back at them, cold and reptilian. But the most disturbing thing about this creature was the way it moved, dragging itself forward on hands that were too many and too thin, fingers tipped with sharp metal claws. It let out a low guttural growl that echoed through the chamber, sending shivers down their spines. Then it stopped, turning its head slowly until its eye was fixed on them. In that single moment, they knew that they were in grave danger. This creature wasn't just some crazed madman or wild animal. It was something else entirely, something that shouldn't exist. But why had it come for them? What did it want? They watched in horror as the creature began to approach, its every movement oozing menace and evil intent. They could feel the darkness emanating from it, a palpable aura of death and decay. But then something unexpected happened. The creature suddenly stopped, as if sensing their fear, and let out a deafening screech that reverberated through the chamber. Then it turned and scuttled back through the hole in the ceiling, disappearing from sight. Left trembling in the darkness, they wondered what had just happened and why the creature had spared them. Had it simply decided that they weren't worth its time, or was something else at play? They didn't know, and perhaps it was better that way. For now, they were safe. But they couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. The creature might have spared them this time, but it would be back, drawn to their world by the power that lay dormant within the earth. And when it returned, they might not be so lucky. The discovery of the lost chamber beneath the great Sphinx had unleashed something ancient and evil into the world, something that threatened to consume them all. But they had only scratched the surface of what lay hidden in the depths. For beneath the sands of Egypt, there are secrets that should remain buried, mysteries that were best left undisturbed. And now those secrets were stirring, awakened by their intrusion. Now they must find a way to stop it before it's too late. If they can't find a way to seal the breach and banish the creature back to its prison, then the world as they know it will cease to exist. But can they do it in time? The fate of the world hangs in the balance, and the answer may lie hidden in the dusty scrolls of a long-lost civilization. And now it's time for you to make your voice heard. Like this video if you want more thrilling mysteries. Subscribe for more updates and share your thoughts below. Don't miss out on future episodes. The adventure continues. Stay tuned.